You're listening to Radio Irish with Sean McCarthy, Bob Gallico and Henry O'Donovan. Henry joins us, of course, from Bondi Beach in Australia. And as we head to the holidays, here come the holidays, of course. And even though there is a little bit of a lull in spending, there are a couple of recommendations I'm going to make to you now for this coming holiday season. Anything Maeve Binchy. How about that? You can buy her books and you can now see one of her latest movies, which has been released here in the United States just in time for the holidays. It's called How About You, and written by Ireland's Maeve Binchy, and we love Maeve Binchy in Ireland. We're very proud, you see, as Irish people, to call Maeve one of our own, because Maeve, of course, is the best-selling author of so many wonderful stories around the world. Famous and all that she is, we are delighted, absolutely delighted now to welcome Maeve Binchy to join us here on Radio Irish for a chat. Radio Irish, that's what you're listening to with Sean McCarthy, Bob Gallico and Henry O'Donovan in Bondi Beach in Australia. So we're all over the place, we are, and we're just about to pick up the phone now to the wonderful Maeve Binchy. Let's see if we can get a line out now. Right, Radio Irish, that's what you're listening to. Give Maeve a call now, see what she's up to. We're chatting with her about her new movie. Rightio.
Hello?
Hi Maeve, how are you?
Sean, how are you?
How are you? Well, you have a brand new book out, Maeve, and a brand new film adaptation of one of your short stories. Tell me about the new book now.
Well, the new book that I have at the moment is being published in London. It hasn't been published in America yet. It'll be published in March.
And what's that all about now, Maeve?
It's called Heart and Soul, and it's set in all unlikely places in a heart failure clinic. It doesn't necessarily fill the heart with great joy, but it's very optimistic, and it's a place where people are looked after when they've had a heart attack, and to prevent them having another one. So it's a very kind of sunny and cheerful place, and it's the stories of all the various people who work there or who are patients there.
Oh, I see. Well, that's fascinating, Maeve. You've also written a non-fiction book called The Maeve Binchy Writers Club, which I believe was written in a non-conventional way, in that the Maeve Binchy's Writers Club came together through letters you had written. Is that right, Maeve?
That's right. Yes, I gave a writing course one year in the National College of Ireland, which is a college in the financial services area of Dublin. There, it was set up really originally as a workers' college, so that everybody who could, who wanted some education at some stage of their life could get it. It's a more American idea than it is an Irish one, because in Ireland we were all inclined to go to college at 18 and leave at 22, and that was it. But Americans have, I think, a broader view of education. And it was great fun. We had over 200 people came, and they all came every Wednesday night. Now, I didn't go every Wednesday night, but I wrote them a letter every Wednesday night. I did the opening one and the bottom one to encourage them to write. And if they finished a manuscript, finished a novel while they were there, they got their fees back. So quite a few of them, about 70 of them, did actually finish a book, and some of them have been published since, which is great. And it was a great success. It was mainly giving people confidence. I was explaining to people that there are no hiding places, that you have to work. You have to do 10 pages a week. And no matter where you are, you have to do 10 pages a week. And then in 52 weeks, you'd have done 520 pages, so you'd have done an awful lot. But you have to find that time, and very often it says weekends or what people, and the time has to come from somewhere. You see, time doesn't grow automatically. And I was suggesting to them that they would have, they could decide what they could give up. They could give up, sitting watching the television, or they could give up family time or exercise or whatever it was. In my case, I gave up sleep in my own case, because when I was wanting to write a book, I used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would work from 5 until 7:30 until I had my 10 pages done of the week. So it was awful sitting up there early in the morning. I hated it, and everybody else. I was living in London London at the time, and everybody else was asleep. In the whole city of London, there were about 12 million people all asleep, and I was writing away at my typewriter. I hated it. So in order to get the book finished, I really worked quite hard at it, and I finished the book in about 7 months, and then it became quite successful. But so you won't know unless you do it. So I think what I did for these people, the one thing I did, because I was only one part of it, other people did things as well. We got say radio producers to come in, tell them how to write a radio play, and television producers, and people tell them how to write comedy and how to write thrillers and things like that. But my big bit was, yes, you can stick at it. There's no reason why you shouldn't. And I was like Billy Graham, trying to encourage them just to stick at it. And at the end, there was a wonderful graduation day where all the people got a badge, and if they'd finished a book, we all had to examine the book. If they'd finished a decent book, I didn't have time to read them all, then they got their fees back. So that was a great incentive.
That sounds fascinating, Maeve. Very interesting there. I'm sure a lot of writers in the universities in New York are only jealous, so they are. You also have a new collection of short stories called This Year It Will Be Different.
That was published in America some time ago. It was never published in Britain or Ireland before. I published it in America about in 1990, I think. But I just made them more modern now. This Year It Will Be Different. They're Christmas stories, and they were published in America by Random House in America then.
Well, that's great now as we head up to Christmas now. That's something for underneath the tree for our listeners here on Radio Irish. Do you think, Maeve, that us Irish are a little more prone, though, to raising hell around Christmas instead of raising heaven, so to speak?
Well, I suppose there is a danger that people can over-celebrate Christmas too much. But my sister, who was a psychiatrist, used to say that Christmas brought out, Christmas put everything into capital letters for you. If you were a cheerful person, you became manically cheerful at Christmas. And if you were depressed, you became very depressed. And if you were an alcoholic, you went back on the drink at Christmas. And if your marriage was bad, it seems everybody else in the world was happily married except you. So she was always in favour of Christmas being a shorter ceremony than the 12 days it often takes in Ireland and England. I know a lot of immigrants come home to Ireland at Christmas time, and of course with the euphoria of seeing each other over and over again, that's another adds to the festive things. But I've always loved Christmas myself, and I've always had nice family Christmases and enjoyed them very much, and so continue to do that. And I don't, we're not going mad and trying to impress or rushing to keep up. One of the reasons I called that book This Year It Will Be Different was I wrote a short story about a woman who decided not to fuss at Christmas, and she said this year it will be different. We have everything ready in time. We all say that way. It never is. It's always the same thing. There's a little bit of a rush at the end. But I think a lot of people have got carried away with the whole trappings of Christmas, and rather than the actual spirit of it itself.
Live from New York City, RadioIrish.com.
I love a TV set when a storm is due. I like my fish and chips, rock and roll and filter tips. How about you? I'm nuts about good cooks. You never get my fill. And Mrs. Darren's looks kind of give me a thrill. Holding hands in a movie show all the way in the last row.